Leadership of an agency designed to protect children, now under scrutiny related to a second child's death.
WRAL's Lena Tillett and Keenan Willard have spent months investigating the death of 8-year-old Christal Lane, despite calls to remove her from her home. They're here now with a shocking discovery.
Dan and Ashley, Christal Lane's sweet smile makes it even harder to grasp the violent way she died. Her death led to outrage and a state investigation because Nash Social Services did not remove the girl from her home despite concerns for her safety. After months of interviews with social workers and law enforcement, and after going through public records, WRAL Investigates found a similar case just years before.
It's been 6 months since the beating death of 8-year-old Christal Lane, officers say, by her own grandmother. And Nash County Detective Macie Hasty tells me she's thought about Christal and her 5 siblings every day since.
Kept asking myself why. Why would somebody do this to a child?
Detective Hasty says after investigating an allegation of abuse in the home weeks earlier, her recommendation to the Nash County Department of Social Services was unequivocal. The children needed to be removed.
When you heard about the Christal Lane case, were you surprised at what happened?
I was not surprised.
This former Nash DSS social worker agreed to talk with me as long as we concealed her identity. She told me Christal's death brought up painful memories of working at the agency.
I see you becoming emotional as I'm asking this. Why?
Because I don't think it had to happen.
And in a shocking turn during the interview about Christal, she told me it happened before.
Did you experience a situation where a child was hurt because they weren't removed from a home?
Yes.
What happened?
Well, the child ultimately died.
Another child died?
Yes.
That child is Chase Hilliard. The nearly 2-year-old boy died in 2020 after falling from a bed. His mother, Vonketta Hilliard, was charged with second-degree murder nearly a year after his death. In records obtained by WRAL Investigates, the state medical examiner concluded Chase Hilliard died from complications of non-accidental traumatic head injuries. What we did not know until this interview is that Nash DSS was involved in Chase's care.
Was there a recommendation to remove this child from the home as well?
Yes.
And what happened?
The child wasn't removed from the home.
According to former Nash DSS employees we spoke to and court documents, the agency began providing services to Vonketta Hilliard before Chase was even born, out of persistent concerns about her mental capacity and ability to take care of a child. In an affidavit, Hilliard's sister Khadijah Hilliard said, quote, Vonketta had mental challenges and was under the special care and attention of our mother. She says DSS was contacted about Hilliard when she was pregnant with Chase due to improper prenatal care, and the agency intervened, including taking her to medical appointments. Weeks after Chase was born prematurely, weighing just 2 pounds, his grandmother died, leaving Vonketta Hilliard without her primary caregiver.
Was the mother unable to take care of the child?
No, the mother wasn't able to take care of the child.
And that was clear?
Yes.
The affidavit says instead of removing Chase, a DSS social worker would periodically check on her and the baby. And even the apartment Hilliard and Chase moved into was, quote, furnished by DSS. In July of 2020, Hilliard told police her baby fell from a bed. Chase died a month later, just weeks before his 2nd birthday. His mother is now charged with murder. While we know the recommendation to remove Christal and her siblings came from outside the agency, 2 former Nash DSS employees who worked on Chase's case say internally several social workers, including supervisors, had advocated for Chase to be removed.
Can a social worker make the decision on his or her own that a child should be removed from the home?
No, that has to be approved by some type of upper management beyond the supervisor. The program administrator pretty much is always going to be involved in that decision.
Public records show Kimberly Nicholson, the current Nash DSS program administrator, held the position during both Chase and Christal's cases. The social workers WRAL talked to said multiple employees brought their concerns about Chase's safety in Hilliard's home directly to Nicholson. They say she did not approve his removal. We asked Nicholson what went into her decision. We have not heard back.
There are times that there are worse things, than removing children.
She says she now wonders if Chase would still be here if they were listened to.
I can see this has weighed heavily on you.
It has.
Now, one low-level social worker was fired after the Lane case, and the state mandated some changes at Nash DSS. WRAL's Keenan Willard joining me now with reaction to these latest findings.
Lena, after all that information you just laid out there, we put questions to both Nash DSS and the State Department of Health and Human Services, specifically asking whether these cases show a pattern of Nash DSS leadership failing to follow recommendations to remove children from potentially dangerous homes. In a statement released today, Nash DSS says it can't release any information about the Hilliard case without violating general statute and the agency's adhering to state and federal guidelines. Now, the state says changes are ongoing at Nash DSS until that corrective action plan is done, so no new action signaled in the wake of these findings, Lena.
Yeah, still so many questions, Keenan, and we certainly continue to keep asking them. Back to you.
Oh, it's so hard to see their beautiful faces. Thank you, Lena and Keenan. We know you will keep us updated on this important and difficult reporting. You can find extensive coverage of this story on WRAL.com.